Hi. Okay, so apparently I don't think this was streaming Skeletor one with the cat. Anyway, so okay, so I guess OBS isn't gonna work on. Let me see this. Your connection is unstable. Okay, anyway, so hi everybody. Here is Willie. So just in case just in case if OBS was not acting right, uh, I got from my this Fathom Events uh it was like celebrating the 60th anniversary of Twilight Zone, so they were showing like a bunch of videos and a documentary thing they made for it. Uh, and I saw it Thursday with my other of significance, Katie, and they had so what they had there. They had Eye of the Beholder. They had this one when we were a little late, and the one that we came into was one I had not seen. Whereas this went down to his neighborhood, and it basically went back in time to when he was 11. And they had the one with Burgess Meredith, where it was like, nuclear fallout happened, and he had the glasses. Anyway, it was really good. What was funny documentary, the stuff that interested me more was when they had Rod Sterling talk, because apparently I did not know this, but he was a traveling professor. He was a professor at it was I couldn't understand it, and he was the things he would like the things that he would say as a riot, just like mind, like not, your mind was not only blown, but it was also blown. Like knowledge was just filleting your cerebral cortex. Uh, and it got me super pumped. It was like, oh man, babe, I know I gotta be up at work at like 5:30, but I want to stay up all night and write and stuff. Write and write. And Katie, very wisely, shot that down. So, yeah, there's that. But also, what was interesting is, so I have this weird fascination with movie posters ever since like I saw that poster. I was just hooked, and I saw. Usually, what bothers me is there's a lot of movie posters that basically look like images, and okay, so let's and I, dude, OBS, why are you being a jerk? Anyway, a lot of the I am so annoyed at this. Okay, so and a lot of the posters were actually very, very minimalist, and it was really cool. I was super stoked. And like the more gaudy posters they had were like the ones like Wonder Woman 84, which looked like someone just puked out color. As Katie would say, it was like a unicorn puked. It was like a unicorn vomit puked. And Knives Out also, that poster also looked horrible. It was like Wes Anderson puked color. It was like because like foreground. So okay, so just to speak in nerdy design terms, um, so what they did was they used the rule of contrast or color. I forget which one. So there's like six design principles, and they used more saturated colors for the wardrobe of the characters, and they used like this very like gold, gray, like muted gold or like muted mustard color for the background, and so in like a Wes Anderson poster, but just really just blah on the. It was like just this big. So you had like in the poster to describe it to you because I'm cannot figure out how to hit the button to show you what I'm looking at. Show you through the window. You can find it, but you can't find it online. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out like, oh, should I go back and edit this and put the line so I can show you poster? But whatever. So they had like the ensemble of actors there, and they were like in these like bright colors, and so it looked like just and like that pretty much took up the lower third of the poster, and it was just just didn't look right. Another example of a bad poster was was the Invisible Man one. For like the Blumhouse Universal Horror one, because it's basically is you have the actress in like the bottom corner of the poster, and then you just have like this big massive black space. And as much as I love minimal design, it's kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're like, and it is frustrating because like what always has bothered me with Invisible Man movies is because Invisible Man movies have always been basically it's monster movies but you can't see the monster. that's and so you have to be creative, and like the poster for the Invisible Man is like the poster for the Invisible Man with Claude Rains was really good because it showed him bandaged, it showed him. So I was like, oh, okay, I can see that fucker. I mean, I can see that guy. Sorry for the language. And I was looking for Hollow Man because I know Hollow Man's a good, because like I remember like Hollow Man was a bit better than that, and like Hollow Man did that right too because it showed like Kevin, so it actually shows you something, but and this one didn't, and it just really just. I was looking at it and I was just like, why? Another poster that really was off-putting to me was this poster for this animated movie called Spies in Disguise, and that just looked like someone, that just looked like Photoshop puked out a montage. And the same with like the new Star Wars movie too. It looked like someone just puked out a montage. And the thing is, like with Star Wars movies, what's kind of funny about them is they've always been kind of like, with the exception of the first Star Wars movie, well, yeah, with the exception of the main poster where it was like Luke Skywalker, laying on the side, it was you had a very central focus to it. And to me, like Return of the Jedi, the main poster for that just barely, the original theater being just a mess of images and a good montage. But what's funny is like the teaser posters for them have always been like, the teaser posters for Star Wars movies have always, well, I shouldn't say have always, because Revenge of the Sith, that teaser poster was just blah. That teaser poster was like just pretty lame. It was lame. But you got for Well, actually, I take because like Force was okay. Force Awakens, like the poster for Force Awakens, was okay because you got like a pretty you got like pretty strong levels of what they call dom in design, what they call dominance. And basically what it is that the more important you're up the poster, or like our since like from since how American Western world reads, it's uh left to right, top to bottom. And so basically it's like if you have two images of equal size, but you have one that's more at the top of the page, that has a bit more dominance than the one that's a little bit lower, because that's where our eye is first. It's the general thing. And the thing with movie posters is movie posters, they're supposed to sell you on they're supposed to sell you on, you know, to want to go see this, and also be art, which is why which is why I'm a big proponent for good movie poster art. Because, and it's like when you have like the movie poster for Terminator, which was basically Arnold Schwarzenegger with that heat register thing, and it's like, while I personally don't like it, it does its job, because like, here's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and he's hunted because you can tell by the crosshairs, so you can tell he's the prey, and it's like it gives you everything you need to know. That's so I mean that's why I like pay attention. That's why I'm like a big proponent on like good design. You know, this is all about good design. I have one of the biggest examples, and I've been, when this movie was about to, like when they were first advertising posters for the Grinch last year, I wanted to make a video on it because it pissed me off about how badly designed it was, because it was basically, it was a lime green background with the lime green Grinch. And the only thing that separates the lime green Grinch from the lime green background was a yellow halo, the yellow drop shadow halo from around the Grinch, and his red freaking sweater, his red freaking scarf. And it just pissed me off, because looking at it, and it's like and I even did a desaturated, like I even like just basically like took all the color out of it, and it just had like little, like the only contrast was that white little halo line, and that pissed me off to no end, because it just did not, it just looked bland, and it just bled into the background, you know, like but what I liked about, anyway, getting back on topic, what I liked about the posters I saw here, it was like, it was pretty, it was just pretty, it like kept it simple, and it kept it's like it kept it simple, and it still related to you what you wanted to. There was a poster for this movie called, it was like Gretel Hansel, and they had like this, it was like in the spooky woods, they had this like weird sweet, it looked like sweet, this weird design house, and it just looked really, and had like a woman standing at the doorway. She was standing at the doorway because it was basically, it was like she was backlit from like light, and it looked really cool. It looked really spooky, which was, you know, which it's like you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a horror movie. Oh, there's like, it's like, okay, that's kind of an interesting, you know, it's like, oh, okay, you're able to take from it, certain information. It's like, oh, okay, it's like a weird cabin in the woods type thing. All right, cool, I'm down with that. And they had like this poster for Little Women, which I actually liked, because it was basically, it was like the four lead actresses, you know, looking out in a window, and it's like, that's all you needed. It, and I was happy with that. And so, you know, a lot of the posters were like that, and it's like, and to be honest, that's like, I one of the things that always pissed me off when I was in art school I was in art school, so I was like, oh, you need to always like put like a lot of off in the nut. And I always I always chafed under that idea because it's just to me it always seemed like visual wankery. It always seemed like, you know, you were like, it was like a penis measuring contest for a poster. Well, I had an Avengers Age of Ultron teaser poster in my room. And, you know, it's like when I look at it and stuff, I didn't feel more rewarded looking at this like ridiculously intricate Avengers logo. I was just like, oh, it's an Avengers logo. Oh, and then when I looked at it more and I see the details, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. It didn't. It was like, it looked cool, and that was about it. It looked cool, and yeah, that's it. That's it. It was just like, oh, it looked cool. Oh, it's cool. And to be honest, that's that's really is that what I've always found is that like good design, it should basically it shouldn't just be like a really pretty picture. It should tell you something while you're looking at it. And some of the best posters and even teaser posters, which is basically that's the type of poster that just lets you know that this movie's coming out. And some of the best teaser posters were ones where it was very simple. It was like the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey, for example. That was a great that teaser poster was a great teaser poster because it oh dude, I just realized I wanted to invite someone on here, but I had a really crappy time trying to figure out how to invite how to invite the person on the stream. If you were listening out there, you'll probably know who I'm talking about, and I'll also personally apologize to you later. I just totally botched botched that botched how to do that on thing. That's what happened. I'm sorry. Anyway, um, crap. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So the Grinch, the Jim Carrey Grinch poster, it just showed his hand holding a broken Christmas ornament, and it was like and you can, and like when I saw that, when I first saw that poster, I was just like immediately like just enough about it because it's like he's in a costume, and it's like, oh, what does he look like? And it gave you enough of a mystery to where you were interested in you wanted more, and that's to me a good design. Like another great example of another great example is the original teaser poster for Spider-Man the movie that came out in 2002. The original teaser poster was basically like Spider-Man sticking his head out. He was climbing on a window. You know, he was like on a wall of a skyscraper wall. He's sticking his head out, and in his eye, in the reflection of his eye, was the World Trade Center. And that poster kind of got taken down due to 9/11. Duh. But it was a very well designed poster because it gave you enough of like you look at it gave you his hand and a quarter a 3/4 turn of his mask of his face, and you look at it and you're like you it was really it captured your imagination because you're like, oh, what is he gonna look like? Oh, hey. And that's really what good posters, good art should do. It should capture your imagination, not be visual wanker. um, okay, that's right. Me, oh man, okay. I'm sorry. I just thinking in my head is just how I should cut this video up to add the pictures, since OBS is being a huge pain in the katukas. So I might have to do that. I might like cut the stream up into little videos, or at least like the excerpts of little videos. Yes. Anyway, so in the cartoons, I was working on one of the cartoons I was working on was this one called Mr. Nightmare, which was like a superhero, little short superhero cartoon. And I got stuck because I was trying to write the script for it, and it was really it is just really like okay, because producer brain, animator producer brain, and then creative brain were just fighting it out, and it's just kind of like it's like, no, I must make it something where I can kind of easily, where I can kind of get it done and work on. Oh shit. Anyway, sorry, it's like it's 8 in the morning here. So yeah. Anyway. So I had some trouble on that. A person, there was a person on Facebook I admire, and they were looking for writing work, and so I wanted them to write for them for the Mr. Nightmare cartoon, but they kind of wanted like a script or something like that, and so I gave them a script for something, and it was supposed to be for more of a comedy, which it was Brandy and Gin, which that one. So okay. So there's always, when the more complicated, the more you're at war with creative side and production side, if you're doing both. And what I mean by that is, like, the creative side is like, let's just go and shoot for the stars and just do something really cool, like it's like all that like stuff that like you want to see and you want to do, and you want to like kind of like, yeah, let's make something awesome, and like, yeah, let's do something really creative and cool. And then your production side is more like, well, okay, that's nice, how are you going to do it, how you get, how are you going to do it, how are you going to get it, how are you going to say, like, how are you going to get it done in a timely manner, how are you going to, and like, how are you going to pay if you need to like get extra voices or whatever, how are you going to pay for it? Because I can tell you one thing. If we were in Dungeons and Dragons, my charisma level is maybe a 0 or a 1. Tops. With like a negative. My charisma level is a 1 with a -1 -1 upgrade thing. It's like, not charisma, in my not so humble opinion. And so it's like, I always figure it's like, well, the best way to get stuff done is to, aside from ask, just, yeah. But I looked over, yeah, some more Purdue type stuff is, I was looking over in Fiverr. Like, Fiverr is your best friend. Like, Fiverr, great if you're trying to put together something, because like, if you're trying to do, like, let's say for what I'm doing, animation, right? You can find people who will do like 2 second or like 2 seconds worth or 2 minutes worth of your animated for an animated thing, depending on, and they'll list you how much it is, and that's cool. That's great. And you can get in contact with them, and it's like, one hand, I tried it, did a really good design. They took my they took kind of what I was inspired by, and they just did a very well designed thing, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. And so I learned, it's like, you have to be very specific at what you want, but also too is just, there's a trust level. When you do anything creative, there is a level of trust you have to give up. You have to give to someone who you've never worked with before, and all that stuff. So it's a weird, difficult thing to do. But anyway, it is. I have no. It's weird. It's like balancing bit from the viewers. It's like balancing between like 1 to 2 people. It's kind of funny, but kind of weird. it's like, oh, hey, 2, down to 1, down to 1. It's like, oh, that's weird. Anyway, some animated content. I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of get things done. And oh, great, there's 1 again. Okay, cool. There was 0, and then there's 1 again, and it's like, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, oh wait, can we make it go higher? Sorry. Just my ADHD is like, it is just, kind of bouncing around all over the place. So that's that. I don't know. It was cool. It's like, so like, one of the things I've been really wanting to try is using Adobe Fuse to rotoscope animated characters. Hello, Milo. It's my cat, Milo. Hello, Milo. Yes, hello. Hello. Yes, yes. Yes, hello. Anyway, one of the things I've been wanting to do was to try and rotoscope that. And the thing, or at least try to use Adobe Fuse more for like, in animating, because there's a lot of canned animations that you can kind of to model and whatnot. And so I was thinking, I was coming up with, and I was like thinking of like an idea of trying to do something like that, because like the cartoons I try to do in Adobe Character Animator, which is basically you make like digital puppets, or I try and do in Flash. They've been very. They're very 2D oriented. They might not look as great in 3D. And so it just seemed kind of, I cannot think of the word for the life of me. It's just been kind of difficult to try and kind of put them in together. Kind of difficult to try and figure out a way to put together the two where you can have like a distinctive voice. Because that's the whole thing with animation, is that animation has always been, it's very auteur focused, because like when it comes to TV, you have, like, for example, when it comes to TV, you have the Bruce Timm style. Even though Bruce Timm didn't create his style in a vacuum, you had is that he kind of came up with the rules of how to draw it, and so everyone just was like, it kind of was mandated down. To be honest, it's a more truer version of the auteur theory than say for film animation is. And like, especially like you look at Hanna-Barbera, I don't care what anyone says, you can fight me on this, Hanna-Barbera are auteurs. And like, a lot of the stuff that animators would bitch out Hanna-Barbera for for basically is like the fact that they is like the whole thing of like the show don't tell, because how they directed their actors was to perform it like a radio drama, and in radio drama you basically spell out everything. It in a lot of respects that helped focus more of what is going on in the camera. What is more going is basically is like, oh look, Scooby-Doo is doing it's like, oh, Scooby-Doo is riding some rhinoceros down the street, and then they cut away to Scooby-Doo riding on some rhinoceros and probably like whining and being and pissing his pants. And it's like while that's while a lot of animators and a lot of filmmakers would be like, oh, it's show don't tell, stupid, it's very much a directed way of like, no, this is what's going on. They say set boundaries. It's like, okay, the director, the producers set boundaries to the writers, and the writers set boundaries to the actors, and the actors performing it, they set boundaries to the animators and the storyboard artists. And so it's very structured. It's very built upon a person's vision. It's very much built upon one person's about like one or maybe two people's vision. And so like that, to me, that's something very it's very awe-inspiring, because it's like, oh, you can have that control, and you can it's like yeah, because you have great, you can farm out a bunch of different stuff, but you have that control. And I find that very intriguing, like, because like animation, going back to before, because that's the whole reason why I looked into like trying to do like my thing in trying animation is to keep it as much of a skeleton crew as possible, so you can vision on the screen. And that's and while I mean, you look at like to being in a band, in a jam session in a band, you bounce off each other's some person brings up the idea of like, hey, well, what if let's use these lyrics. And okay, so that's one, and then you're like, oh, hey, and then it's like you have a bunch of ideas bouncing off each other, and yet, and to me, that's how film production should be. That's basically what they're saying of the auteur theory. And like you look at the Beatles, for example, it's like John and Paul, they were riffing off each other, but they were also like they were the guiding force of the songs. And it's like, to me, that's auteur theory. It's like, to me, that's auteur theory. It's like and it's like, that's my goal for animation, is to try and do that as much as possible, to make it, but to keep it like a small crew, look good, make it look like an actual show. Because there's a lot of animators I respect and I like, and it's like, I know the limitations they're under, so I'm actually more understanding. But at the same time, it's like, you look at the thing, it's like, if I did not understand the limits of, if I did not understand the constraints, I look at it and I was like, these are kind of, it's like, there's like, it's kind of, so yeah. Anyway, this stream is going on far too long, and I've been rambling like a dummy for far too long. For the one person who's been sticking around this entire stream, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then the other like one or two people who've been on this stream, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down and like kind of insert the visual references, visual images to make like shorter videos and hopefully, you know, not so I don't know what the right word, not so not so all over the place. Yeah, that's a better term. Anyway, take care, guys, and you have a good day and a good week, etc.